One of the most well-known passages of Scripture that we're all familiar with, and for years and years I didn't fully appreciate it. Now, probably the best chapter to look at this and deal with is Deuteronomy 4, but a far more familiar one is Exodus 20, where we get the 10 Commandments. Now, think specifically of commandment number 2. So let me read again from Exodus 20, verses 3 and 4, right? So commandment number 1, you shall have no other gods before me. And commandment number 2, you shall not make for yourself an idol in the form of anything in heaven above or on the earth beneath or in the waters below. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. Now, I never fully appreciate the implications of that second commandment. Just this idea that we're not supposed to make idols, we're not supposed to make engraved images because it's insulting to God, right? It's disrespectful to God. But about 10 years ago, I actually was able to go to Egypt. And this second commandment stood out in a whole new way. Why did it stand out more so when I went to Egypt? Well, first of all, if anybody here ever been to Egypt before? All right. Alex, nice. So you've probably visited an Egyptian temple. Right. So if you go, this is one of the pictures, I think this is from inside Karnak. If you go into an Egyptian temple, an ancient temple, again, we all know about the hieroglyphics. From floor to ceiling is just engraved images of their gods. And again, if you're familiar with Egyptian gods, do you notice anything familiar with them? They're all in the likenesses of humans and animals. Think back to what God says in creation. He says, God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it, rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. It actually says that twice, right? When we understand the second commandment, it is not just an insult and disrespect to God, it's actually an insult and disrespect to ourselves, to us as God's creation. Because what is God saying? He says, you are my image bearers. You are my idols. You are my engraved images. You are the ones that carry my likeness. Why would you substitute yourselves for something that is beneath you? These are all the things I said you are over and that you are to govern. They are for you, for your benefit, for your stewardship. Why would you replace who you are with something that is beneath you? Why would you replace something with something that is stone with something that is alive and real? We are the functional roles of showing the Creator back to the world. We are His living representatives. We are the ones that carry His image, not these things. So yes, it's disrespectful to God, but it's also disrespectful to who God has created us to be. We're substituting the real McCoy for cheap, pathetic replicas. It's insulting. And listen to what Paul says as he brings this out so clear in Romans chapter 1. Verse 20 says this, for although they knew God, they neither glorified Him as God nor gave thanks to Him, but their thinking became futile and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools. And they exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man and birds and animals and reptiles. Right? We substituted the true glory of God for cheap imitations. We have forgotten who we are. But the good news is this, God said, here's the solution. I want to remind you of how valuable you are. So valuable that I sent my Son, Jesus Christ, to die in your place. And I think one of the great sins that He has forgiven us on the cross of Calvary is that the sin of losing our identity, of the amnesia of who we are, that we are created in the image of God. And again, I love what Paul says in Colossians. Chapter 3 says this, do not lie to each other, since you have taken off your old self with its practices and have put on the new self, which is being renewed in the knowledge in the image of its creator. Here there is no Greek or Jew, circumcised or uncircumcised, barbarian, Scythian, slave or free, but Christ is all and in all. Did you get that? We're being renewed, restored, and reminded of the image that we were created in. Like oftentimes we struggle with self-worth. We struggle with who we are. But what God says right from the very first chapter of Genesis chapter 1, he goes, you may feel like this, but this is not who you are, because I have instilled incredible value in who you are. You carry my image, my likeness, my divine dignity. So whether you're young, old, rich, poor, male, female, whatever it is, we are created in the image and bear the likeness of our Creator. Don't ever forget that. Christ died to restore us and to remind us and transfer us back into that image that we have lost and have neglected.